Alrighty. Good afternoon, folks, and thanks for tuning in. We're going to be looking at Man of Steel. It's a great Superman movie, a video essay, and that's by Key Issues. Obviously, he's a fan of Zack Snyder and Superman and comic book movies, and he's going to give a good argument as to why was it the Snyderverse? What do we call the Zack Snyder world of grim dark heroes?
Certainly not DC.
It's not DC? Okay, he just stole DC.
Zack Snyder Superman is totally not Superman.
Did his own thing, and let's make it all dark. Yeah, that's a great idea. Everyone's dark and foreboding and grim and sad and rainy, and they kill people. That's Superman, guys. He just kills people. All right. So I saw Man of Steel, not in the theaters, but I saw it years later. Very strange. Wasn't the worst Superman movie. I liked a lot of the action, a lot of the fight scenes. Trying to think, what else did it have? It had some good moments with Jonathan Kent. But
a lot of smashed cities and buildings.
Yeah, lots of destruction. That was for sure.
I had a lot of Supermen saying, "Hey, we should maybe I can battle these guys until we reach outside of Metropolis." No, I think we better battle in Metropolis. That'd be a better idea, I think. Yeah.
Go right through buildings, knock them half down, have them collapse on people. You kind of think of these things when you were watching, like, I can't remember the name of the Batman film. It's when the Joker has some sort of death ray from space and he's like attacking highways and it's going through Gotham and he's like just destroying entire tracts of the city. And you're like, oh, that probably killed like 30 people, maybe at least 50 here. And it just keeps going and going. With this movie, it's like buildings are falling down.
I think this is yet another example of a director just taking heroes and characters with long legacies into his own hands for his own ego.
Right. Wait, you were talking about the Batman Beyond film, weren't you? Return of the Joker.
I can't recall which one. I've seen most of them.
It's the animated one.
Yeah, it was definitely animated. Yeah, and Joker just annihilates.
It sounds like to me the Return of the Joker.
Could be. Yeah, no, it was just like, oh my God, they're destroying the city. You're like, oh, that's really dangerous. Like, holy shit. So, yeah, in this one, they wanted to modernize. What if Superman was real? It's like, oh, CNN's going to cover him. We're going to have Neil deGrasse Tyson on the news talking about aliens and all this stuff. You're like, oh shit, this is serious. It's no longer campy and fun and silly. It's, oh, aliens, and they're here to kill us. Like, oh, geez, you're right. So not exactly in line with the DC universe or the DC comic universe or the Golden Age or the Silver Age. All those ages of comic was just like thrown out the door. It's like, we're going to just do our own thing and modernize it, hire some really big actors, and blow the budget on special effects. So, okay, you guys ready? Get started here?
Ready as I'll probably ever be.
Everyone in the watch together?
I am.
Okay. Shiny, where are you? You in the watch
together?
Oh
yeah. Sorry, I forgot to jump the watch together. I was in the middle of Photoshop.
You can still be in Photoshop. It's fine.
I know. I just hadn't opened it up. Do you want me to put this in your Discord, the stream?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. While Shiny's getting ready, we're going to be reading some super chats.
Well, I'm in the watch together.
Oh, you are? Good. Okay. So, Gemini Samimi. Yo, Dr. Crow sent me. Well, thank you, Dr. Crow. That's awfully kind of you. And here's Dr. Crow. Streaming the stream on my stream. Streamception. Also, hi, Zofritz. We see you. Traitor. Hey, what did Zofritz do? What's the story with Zofritz? She's a nice person. What's going on there?
Well, was she in Dr. Crow's chat, and then now she's over here?
I saw her in chat this morning.
Abandoned ship.
She was doing fine. She didn't say anything mean. Here's Alex K. Thank you, sir. Just finished The Last of Us 2, and oh boy, the story sucks. It's just the general opinion of most people I've read, at least online. I've gotten some comments on my channel that think I'm crazy. I have to play the game to understand the story. I need to analyze the backstory of all the characters before I say it's like, okay, listen, guys, I can watch videos on YouTube like anyone else. We can watch and criticize those things. It's not hard. You don't need to play the game to understand what characters are saying and doing, okay?
You don't need to be a chef to know it's bad food. You don't need to eat all the entire meal to know it's terrible.
You could watch someone else's reaction. Oh, he's choking. I guess that's not good.
All these people are dying and getting poisoned by this food, but I won't know how it's. I don't know if it's bad or not unless I eat the whole thing too. Okay.
Yeah, like a story of revenge that doesn't end in revenge. You're like, yeah, that doesn't sound good. It's like a story of romance. No, there's no marriage, there's no kiss, there's nothing. They just break away, and that was that. Like, oh, really? Wonderful. So take any genre and just have nothing to do with the genre. Just like, yeah, it's just comedy. No, there's no laughs. Space opera. There's no spaceships. Murder. There's no murder mystery. It's just like, what? What do you mean there's no murder mystery? Everyone's confused. They just get lost. Someone went missing. We thought you were dead. No, he just came back. It's a murder mystery. Okay. All right, guys, let's get going.
What happened to the Man of Steel? For years, he was considered a film icon, setting the stage for the likes of Tim Burton's Batman, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it.
Did he? I don't know. I don't think Superman was that influential for comic books. We're talking about the 70s and the early 80s for the Superman films. And it took about a decade for that stuff to come out. I think Batman was 1990. I think. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, I don't think it was that influential, and I have to look at how the production companies were turned to say, hey, now's a good time for a superhero movie. But just wondering, because there's probably an argument to be made there.
Superman was always a character that modern audiences knew about, and someone older generations loved dearly thanks to Christopher Reeve's portrayal as the Man of Tomorrow. But after the massive failure that was Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, the character was shelved for 19 years. But thanks to the success of Fox's X-Men and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films, Warner Brothers felt it was time to bring back their heroes to the silver screen.
Okay, so who owned Marvel? Was it Warner Brothers? Or are they just looking at what was done with Marvel and say, hey, we can do the same? That's a strange...
Oh, you mean when they made the Man of Steel movie?
Well, yeah, but what's the argument here? Like, oh, Marvel's doing this, so why can't we do this? That seems to be the argument. And
I think it seems to be what it is. Where like people lost faith in superhero movies because of Superman 4 or something, and then Marvel came out with a lot of us really interesting movies. First of all, it was the weird 2000s movies where, I mean, Spider-Man, you have the Spider-Man movies, people tend to like those. And then you had a weird kind of influx of dark superheroes, like a dark version of Daredevil. You had Blade. Blade was the big one. And they kind of revamped superhero movies, and then they got revamped again by Marvel. Marvel has been really good at this, actually, until they got woke.
I'm just trying to see the list of DC films. I remember Supergirl came out roughly the same time as Superman 3. There were all sorts of animated versions in the 90s.
DC tends to excel at long-form storytelling, like TV shows, where Marvel tends to excel more at movies.
Right. So we had like Batman and Robin in the late 90s, which was kind of ridiculous.
Oh, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I'm trying to remember. There was Batman Returns, which was Batman 2, essentially, in 92. Then there was Batman Forever.
Yeah.
And then there was Batman and Robin.
Batman Forever is the one with the Riddler, I believe. And then Batman and Robin is the one with Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy.
So they had what was his name?
The Kid of Dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
The Ice Age.
It was awesome. I loved it. I love every second of Arnold more.
Well, they had Jim Carrey. I remember that. That was a big deal. And Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face. And it was all very campy. So...
Oh, that was great. That was a great story about that, where Tommy Lee Jones absolutely detested Jim Carrey. Hated him. Hated his guts. To his every being. He told him to his face, too. He's like, hey, why don't you come over? I think Jim Carrey was like, hey, why don't you come over and sit with us? And Tommy Lee Jones would not. He said, no, I don't want to sit with you. You're awful.
That was during the 90s when I think he was still running. He wasn't working in Living Color. I think he was done that gig. And he was doing comedy movies, so he was doing Ace Ventura and stuff like that. So yeah, he was getting popular in the movies. Mr. Ace Ventura. So yeah, 90s for movies was kind of like a hit and miss, but I don't think it was all because of Superman. I think Marvel and DC had their own runs during the 90s with Batman. I think Batman was the big thing. And then, as you said, with Blade from Marvel. Blade was the Marvel movie that made X-Men possible and all the other films.
Yeah, it was, and then now it's been disrespected because they wanted Black Panther to be the first black superhero movie. So they turned it down. They turned their noses up at Blade, even though it was
Blade didn't count.
Yeah, like it didn't count. They say, oh, it's just a horror movie. Blade is not scary in the least. Like you can't. It's really difficult to have a main character who can just kill all the bad guys with almost no sweat and have it be a horror movie. You can do it, I think, but it's really difficult. That's not what Blade was. It was cool action with sort of horror elements because it just happened to be vampires.
Yeah,
mainly it was just an action superhero movie.
I found it a touch creepy at the time. It was action oriented, and of course Wesley Snipes just slicing people up was kind of like, okay, we get what's going on here. It's not over the top, but it was pretty gritty. So I like that part. Making all his weapons and what have you.
And reintroduced the world to Batman in 2005 in a unique and interesting way, delivering the first part of what many consider to be one of the greatest film trilogies of all time with Batman Begins. And in 2000,
I hate it when people say that. This is one of the greatest. I don't know all the movies in history that had trilogies, but I'm assuming he does to make this statement. It's like, okay, Lord of the Rings.
It's a pretty bold statement to make.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking, like, what other trilogies are out there? Star Wars. I mean, comparing it to Star Wars, like, okay, yeah, you've already failed, sir. You've already probably not.
2006, it was Superman's turn. Unfortunately, many found the film to be too similar to the Superman films of the past, and the mixed reception of the first Superman film in nearly 2 decades wasn't enough to warrant a sequel. So Superman was set aside while Batman took center stage as DC's true box office darling. But as the Dark Knight trilogy came to a close and the Marvel Cinematic Universe now in full swing, Warner Brothers decided to dust off Superman yet again, bringing on Zack Snyder, director of smash hit 300, to direct the film, and even convincing Christopher Nolan to stick around as producer. Casting the then unknown Henry Cavill to step into the boots of Superman was a risk, as he didn't resemble the iconic Christopher Reeve, but risks were what they needed to take. The safe approach that they took with the look of Superman Returns was not a mistake they intended to make again. So with such a popular up-and-coming director set to make Superman his own, a producer who created the legendary Dark Knight trilogy, and an actor who looked like he walked off of a comic book panel, the movie could not fail, right? Well, critics and Superman purists alike were very unhappy with this portrayal of Superman, insisting he wasn't meant to be dark like Batman. Superman was meant to be a beacon of hope, the light of the DC universe, not...
That's what it became, yes.
This was not the
They even
Iron
addressed
Man that
that.
DC wanted to kick off their...
What, Zack Snyder was like, this is not what I wanted to do?
Yeah, but they addressed it in the movie. That's what made it worse. So it's like, well, it'd be one thing if they didn't acknowledge that he was supposed to be a beacon of hope, but they addressed it in the movie, and it's with that Crest. And especially, I hate to say it, it's Mark Waid's fault. I mean, he's the one that made this crest a symbol of hope. First of all, Superman, the S used to stand for, just the S for Superman, and then it became like the L family crest, and then by the time of Superman Birthright, it became a Kryptonian symbol of hope, that S he wears on his costume. So he's supposed to be this beacon of hope, the guy everyone looks to do the right thing. We see this in. Unfortunately, as much as everyone hates Mark Waid, and he's his jerk, he's a horrible, horrible human being. I don't know what happened to him, but he used to know how to write Superman. Kingdom Come, Superman Birthright. These are portrayals of Superman that were pretty good. He was supposed to be this inspiration of a man. That's what he's supposed to be. He wasn't supposed to be dark. That's why there's the Batman vs Superman thing. was so unique because Batman is this gritty, darker version of a superhero while still being a hero. And Superman, on the other hand, was the lighter side, the optimist side, the guy who would lead us into a utopia, and into progress, where he fought crime with strength and ethics. Batman fought crime with fear and deception. So he was kind of darker, but he was, but he was still good. There's still both heroes. But Superman was supposed to be this light, shining beacon of hope in a dark, dark world. That's what he's supposed to be. He wasn't meant to be a dark light in a dark world. It doesn't make any sense.
I think that when it comes to DC, very generally, they are very dark settings, but like dark events happen, murder, Superman's entire planet gets destroyed. Bruce Wayne's parents get killed. Lots of really terrible things happen. But even then, Batman and Superman and all that still are. They're supposed to be this beacon of hope. They are supposed to be heroes still, withstanding all of this darkness around them. But that kind of darkness of like what's happened with like Batman losing his parents and Batman being a symbol of fear, they kind of make it extreme to like he's brooding, he's edgy, he kills people. It's like, wait, what? Batman's killing people? Oh, he's so edgy.
They thought that the thing that we wanted to see was Batman being edgy and brooding and violent.
Like they think, oh, so you like something dark, and they say, okay, well, if you like this dark, then we'll make it darker. And it's like, wait, no, no, don't make it darker. It's fine, leave it.
Yeah, because
it's like, no, we were going to make it darker. You liked it dark before. It's like, no, but you're removing the parts which we also liked of the hope and like the lightheartedness. You're removing that as well.
Leave the hope in there somewhere. That's the beauty of Batman. That's why he's still a hero and not a anti-hero. Because Batman upholds ethics for one, and second of all, he's a beacon of light, relatively speaking, in Gotham City. So Gotham City is supposed to be like this dark place. Yeah, it's a really dark place where crime is rampant and the cops are all corrupt. So there needs to be a guy like Batman in there to actually take the fight back to the criminals because they control everything. So he is the good guy. He doesn't kill, but he takes down bad guys anyway, and he takes down corrupt cops, takes down drug dealers, you name it. He takes them down. That's why he began. That's how where Batman fight. That's what he fights. He fights street crime. That's where a lot of his work takes place. Street crime. They kind of have to pump him up in power and tech for him to be able to make it on the world stage with Superman. Because Superman is basically the same thing as Batman, but on a much larger scale because he has the power to do so.
It's curious they got the director of 300, which was written and produced by Frank Miller, who did a lot of dark Batman stories, and I'm sure he did a few Superman comics as well. I don't know all the lists of Superman comics, but I'm sure he touched a few. But it was mostly dark Batman stuff. I don't think it was any dark Superman stuff.
Frank Miller really liked Batman. It's kind of like a Garth Ennis really liked the Punisher. Frank Miller really liked Batman, and but the one he's known for before he went insane was with the Dark Knight Returns, which is a very dark iteration of Batman. So Bruce Wayne is old. Is basically the work that Batman vs Superman kind of just copied and pasted, but it became like a soulless poor man version of it. So Bruce Wayne goes back into action after retirement for many, many years, and Gotham has pretty much sank right back into crime. Everything's riddled with crime and everything. And yeah, Bruce Wayne is darker there. He's darker, and he's not the same optimistic Batman he used to be. And he notes
that's
that
more
in the
of
book.
a what-if story as well.
Yeah, more or less. But the thing is, Batman still does not kill. He kind of uses guns with his bat tank thing, but he uses rubber bullets. He does not kill anybody.
Yeah, I know some people did have a problem with that, but they even point out that it's like rubber bullets. The big guy, he goes into his mouth and he's like, what the fuck is this? Rubber bullets? Coward.
Yeah, they're rubber bullets.
You have all this machinery and you don't even have the fucking... You're coward. You can't even kill people.
Exactly. And the one person he does accidentally kill, more or less, is the Joker. He doesn't kill him directly. He kind of breaks his neck because he pushes him too far.
He loses control.
he loses control, and
And
it's
the
a
Joker
big
kills
thing.
himself.
It's a big thing that they note because it's a turning point in the story, where things get a lot darker, and the city kind of turns on him a little bit, and the Joker kind of ultimately wins.
It's because the reason why the city turns on him is because he's killed someone. He's now a murderer. You know, he's outside of the law. That the whole thing is, if Batman did actually start going out and murdering people, then the police would have to stop him because that's not justice. The justice has to happen within the justice system. You can't just go out and kill whoever the hell you want to go out and kill.
But it was also a big deal, so he acknowledges a big deal, and he knows he was losing focus. So he kind of starts getting the idea of let's go ahead and make a bad army instead, because he can't do this forever. So he uses his inspiration to save Gotham in the very end, and not just from crime, from nuclear holocaust too.
There's quite a few elements in the Frank Miller's Batman, quite a few elements in general, Frank Miller's work that Superman is involved in, but Superman is always seen as the good guy, the Boy Scout, the shining beacon. Even if he has to fight Batman in that regard, he's always taking orders from someone up higher. Yeah,
and Frank Miller even kind of villainized Superman a little bit, but as kind of like a lackey for the U.S. government. And they kind of clashed together. Superman carried out the government's issue of forcing people into retirement who used to be superheroes, to the point of literally disarming Green Arrow. So he kind of went a little violent, a little too far in some places, like George Lucas did. But at the very end, Superman was still a good guy. He was even Frank Miller, who really kind of almost fetishized Batman. Really, he kept character with Superman, and Superman does not kill. Superman is he's caring and loving, and he even cared for Bruce, even when they had that big brutal slugging out at the very end of towards the end of the comic book. Superman still cared for Bruce Wayne, which is why kind of like how Bruce Wayne won a little bit. Like he's the one man who beat you. It's because Superman didn't want to kill Bruce Wayne. He didn't want to go all out at every turn. And I think Bruce Wayne knew that, but Superman still didn't. In Superman's eyes, they were still friends, and he wanted to give Bruce every opportunity to surrender and to stop. So even under Frank Miller's pen, Superman was not the killer that he is in Man of Steel.
So the reason we're talking about Batman is there's clearly an influence, either by the producer or writer, of the popularity of the Nolan films, or I don't know exactly, for Batman to be the poster child for victory of the DC movie universe. I don't know, as thus we have to make everything within the Batman universe. So I guess, I don't know, hard to say why they went that route, why everything has to be grim, dark, and dangerous. I thought it would have been grim, dark starting, and then we see Clark develop as a symbol of hope, and he's all kind and caring, and everyone's like, wow, there's this magical man who could fly and come really quick and save people. What's going on? That would have been nice. Instead, we got some sort of alien invasion, destroy the planet sort of story. Like, whoa, that is dark. So
I forgot. Did Man of Steel have Portal in the Sky too? I forgot.
It had a machine that would slam into the ground, so it was terraforming the planet, and all the buildings around it were like float in the air for a bit and then slam back down in the ground. It's like, oh,
that was a little cool. At least it wasn't Portal in the Sky. Every movie has Portal in the Sky.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, with a lot of the action in Man of Steel, is that it presents the world with so much realism and focus. When Superman flies through a skyscraper, you think, oh my fucking god, so many people just died. And then Superman doesn't seem to care. He's not trying to save anyone. And then, compare that to something like Shazam. When Shazam's thrown through a building, it doesn't fall down. In fact, it kind of shows these people just working in their office, and all of a sudden Shazam just kind of flies through it as he's being punched. So there's a big difference between the way that Superman has kind of been portrayed in the fights and the action, with specifically with the destruction, and the way that other films like Shazam have done it. So one film, you're thinking, oh my god, so many people die, and the other one's like, he's flown through the office. Funny.
I think they're better with their smaller budget titles. The only example of a great movie that did well, which was bigger, was the Wonder Woman movie. So they're doing a sequel to that, and it was supposed to come out this year. It might still come out after things pick up, but I think it was the summertime was release date.
I never saw Wonder Woman. Did they make her movie grimdark?
It was World War I think. So it was pretty violent, but
It wasn't that like Zack Snyder bad, but it was kind of a little bit dark, but I think kind of the right amount.
yeah, the violence was
It wasn't terrible.
It was there. Yeah, it made sense.
Like for the context of World War One, I think it's fine. It's kind of like the same level of as like Captain America.
Right.
So, like, I think Captain America might be a little bit worse.
Despite all the backlash, the film became a box office success, grossing over $668 million with a production budget of $225 million. As someone who saw Man of Steel on opening night and many, many times since, I don't understand how fans of the character weren't in love with this version of Superman. Calling Henry's...
Okay, simple question. Why didn't you guys like Man of Steel, the Superman depiction?
Because he's a dark, brooding piece of shit.
Who gets people killed.
It might be an interesting new take on Superman, but that's not Superman. Superman is supposed to be. Superman isn't Batman. That's kind of basically it. Also, Superman doesn't kill.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, not directly.
Again, we've already mentioned just how it's dark and brooding and hopeless, and it's just dark for the sake of dark and being edgy. It's not fun. You're left thinking, oh, get him, Superman. Oh, yeah, left punch, right. Yeah, here we go. Oh, we're not worried about Superman. Again, we're screaming about how many people are dying in the action scenes because massive skyscrapers are falling down.
Right. Generally, when you have a person who's so powerful, they're kind of lighthearted. They're in control. They're sort of joking with the villain. And we sort of get that lighthearted feeling that he knows what's going on. He's confident. In this one, he's scared. He's like, what am I going to do? What's happening? I have to fight these three giant like what was it, Zod, the chick, and the other bigger dude. I can't remember his name. And
he's just scared. He's just scared.
He's just scared. He's like, oh my God. And they're punching him, and he's punching back. They're blowing up trains. They're throwing trains at each other. They're fighting the military.
So how are we going to portray Luke Skywalker? Oh, he's just scared. How are we going to play Superman? Oh, he's just scared. How are we going to play Picard? Oh, he's just scared.
Yeah. The heroes have to be scared because it's dark.
They're all just scared. Very brilliant, unique writing y'all have. Okay.
Yeah.
Just make everyone scared. Job is done. Call it a wrap. Go after coffee.
Strange way of looking at Superman, that's for sure. Here's Agent Yokai Zero. Wow, that was a big donation. Thank you, sir. I believe it's about time I contribute to the Smudcast. Keep up the good work, and thank you for your advice. You had nothing to gain from helping me, but chose to do so anyway. At the very least, you deserve some form of compensation. Don't change. Well, that was awfully kind of you. Thank you, Agent Yokai. Always appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any problems, always give us a shout. We're always here to help. That goes for anyone, of course. You could always join the Discord and bug us. We're pretty friendly. We're not too busy, but we can chat. We can totally give you a shout and help you out with whatever you're doing.
I've heard from very reliable sources like Xander that we're all evil. And
I heard from AT-AT chat, we're trying to debunk his happiness.
Well, that part's true. That actually is true. So
he's taking a break.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got to take a break and come back to whatever he's coming back to. I don't know what, but got to focus.
Not just his happiness though. I want everyone's happiness. I want to, because happiness is delicious.
That's kind of funny what's been happening the past few weeks with The Last of Us. It's like, you don't know what you're talking. You don't know the game. You don't know the characters. Like, yes, I do. I watched it like everyone else. Yeah, I get some things wrong because I don't care. It's so bad.
They're not unique. Okay, I've seen these characters many times already. Okay, it's been 4 years. Okay, I've seen these characters before. Know exactly what's going to happen. You can't just keep pumping out the same exact character, same exact woke nonsense character, and expect me to just be surprised over and over again.
It's so many things that we can talk about. I probably am going to do a video series just because people are arguing for things that don't make sense. And you're like, where are you coming from, sir? I don't get with this drama of yours, why you care for a character you can't identify with, and you even admit that the scene with Abby, the entire plot can be cut out, and yet you identify with her. What are you doing? How do you make this argument?
Can we start with the obsession of being able to identify or relate to the main characters? It's not actually, believe it or not, a necessary item that you need to have.
Not is it not necessary. They view as relatable as either being the same race or gender.
I don't know. It's strange. You're like, dude, come on. There's got to be more to this character than.
Also, why would
dogs.
they make Abby in the first place? Is it, according to their philosophy, wouldn't that mean that only roided out women would buy the game? Why limit your market?
I guess they like playing as really brutal women who like crushing people's skull. I don't know. Like all the animations for Abby, if you ever saw the game, she's like really ripped. When you see her punch someone or slam their head into a wall, it's like, oh my god, that looks like it hurts. And then, of course, she strangles someone and kills them. So, but the whole game is like that. It's all violence everywhere. So,
I almost wish it was the other way around, where she kills Ellie, and then Joel just bashes her head in with a club. Or something. I don't know, maybe a golf club. That'd be neat.
It's so dark.
It'd be like Stallone versus Van Damme and Expendables 2. Or 1. I forgot which one it was. No, 1. I think it's 1. Yeah.
Jeez, those films.
No, wait, it was 2. It was 2.
They all blur together. It's like, what was that Schwarzenegger in a golf cart? I can't remember. Was that the first one or the second one?
Yeah, no, the second one. The second one's amazing because it had everybody. It had Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It even had Chuck Norris for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I remember
that. He told a hilarious Chuck Norris joke, and then it was it ended with a fight between Villain. His name is actually Villain, played by Van Damme, and then Stallone. It's really cool. I love those movies. Except for the third one. We don't talk about the third one.
See, those are fun movies. Lots of violence, but we get the movie. With Man of Steel, we don't know what to expect. We go in there, oh, okay, this is serious. Oh, wow, they're really going serious. They're going hard on this. And all these news conferences, all these people talking about Superman, like, oh, geez, this is getting serious. And instead of it being like, oh, this guy's going to help us, he's going to help humanity, it's like, oh, he's going to kill people. Like, oh, thanks, Superman.
Portrayal dark and emotionless, calling the direction of Zack Snyder flat and uninspired, making the claim that the script penned by David S. Goyer was bloated and uninteresting. If you're one of these people, I respect your opinion, but I believe most of the people who think this have only seen the film once or twice and then just hopped on the anti-Man of Steel bandwagon.
Okay, if you see a film once or twice is pushing it, and you don't like it, you have every right not to like it. The same with if you saw a movie once or twice and you like it.
You should only have to see the film once, and if you don't like it after seeing the film once, that's fine. At least you've given it a go.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're on a bandwagon. It's just like, hey, I don't like the film. Like, leave me alone. Jeez, it's a crap film. Sorry.
Fuck off.
Strange
I've
film.
only seen it once.
I mean, Man of Steel is it's fine to me. It's not the greatest. Mostly it's all fine. The major problems is that Superman kills people, and he didn't really take the fight out of Metropolis. That's a pretty big one.
It's not uplifting. Usually when I want to see a film or read a book or eat a meal, I want the elements of the thing I'm consuming to be uplifted. I want a different take on a hamburger. I want a different take on a space opera. I want a different take on a whatever. And I want the elements that make that genre, that medium, to go up. I don't want to go down. I don't need a depressing Superman movie. That doesn't make sense to me. It's like having a depressing children's cartoon. It doesn't make sense.
Now, what they did with the Superman in this universe is fairly bad, but it's not nearly as bad as what they did with Batman. They murdered Batman's character by making him a murderer.
Yeah.
And like the whole reason for why he's a murderer, it's like, well, if Batman shoots a rocket and it explodes, and then that explosion happens to kill someone, he views it as not him killing someone directly. It's like, he fucking shoots people with a gun.
There was a literal scene where he left the guy alive and then came back to kill him. He's a murderer, okay? He could have just left him squirming on the ground. No, he came back to finish him off. He's a murderer.
Yeah, so the comment that if you watch something once, you don't like it, that's fine, and twice, you don't like it, I mean, you got to really have stamina to watch something you don't like a second time. But for someone who's a fanboy to call you on the hate bandwagon, that's just silly.
Wagon and never looked back. What I don't think these people understand is this film is about Clark's journey and becoming Superman.
I think we understood that. I think that was pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
We see him grow up. Now, if this was like a mini-series, like with Smallville, that is an actual progression of a young Clark Kent, and that's 10 years of, what's his name? I can't remember the actor's name, and everyone else on the show, going from high school to whatever age he was when he started working for the Daily Planet as a reporter. So we see that transition in real time. Every season. There's 10 seasons of Smallville. And you could say the same of like any other show. Like take Harry Potter, for example. Imagine Harry Potter was done on TV as a series for, there's plenty of material. I'd say at least 10 years of all the things that happened to all the students. You would see them grow up. You would see the ages as they go through the classes and become seniors. That would benefit the story. You'd have all that level of detail. So with Man of Steel, you got to really hit those dramatic cues really well. What makes Superman Superman? His father. We got it. And they did have those scenes, not to my liking, but they still had them. So it's a different take. So it's maybe not be my my cup of tea, but at least they did Superman right to a degree. It's the after effect of when he is Superman. It's like, oh, this is what he's doing. Did he learn anything about saving people or helping people? And that was the moral question that was left with him. And he never actually, I don't think he actually answers that properly, because all he does is go around blowing stuff up while he fights. He's never thinking defensively as, oh, I should probably get the hell out of this village or this town or this city so I don't hurt anyone.
This dark, edgy Superman. The Superman that if you insult him, he'll destroy your truck and take down a power line.
I have to wonder what they'll do to, like, if the Zack Snyderverse was going to keep going, like, what they would do to all the rest of the characters. Like, if the Zack Snyder directed Shazam, like Shazam's just a kid straight up murdering people.
Go around with a shotgun.
Thank God he didn't direct that film.
Isn't that interesting, though, that they have a better success with smaller budget superhero films that are funny and have a little bit of dark comedy, and not blowing the budget doing this big grandiose explosion. Like Shazam could have been really dark. There's lots of elements in Shazam where, you know, the power of all those guys he has can go into serious mode, which they tried to do, I think, with Aquaman, which did not interest me at all. I didn't even bother watching that. It just, you don't care. You're like, it's like some weird Atlantis story.
And Ashani's saying that it is basically because of the realism that the like Nolan brought more realism into there, where it's more consequences. It seems like the real world. And it's the same thing with Superman, Man of Steel. I know that people always bring up the thing about the previous Batman movies, where there's one where he actually almost murdered a guy, where he like attached a bomb to him and he blew up or whatever. But in those Batman movies, it's more cartoonish, way more cartoonish than this. And sometimes you can see things run by cartoon logic. So it's not. That's why it's not as bad. Where Batman does the thing that might kill people in there, because for all we know, they survive that because of cartoon logic. Because that's what some of those Batman movies were. There's live action cartoons. But here in the Nolan verse and the Snyder verse, they brought this all dark, gritty, and realistic. That's why it's so much worse when we see superheroes do that in here, because there's no cartoon logic to save the day. It's all fresh and realistic.
Right.
So it's also not a faithful adaptation. Whereas when you look at Shazam is indeed a faithful representation of his character.
Hello.
Hey, Dunn, how's it going?
Good, I just woke up.
Yo, that's a interesting sleep schedule you got there, sir. I hope you're doing okay.
Well, I had to work all night. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We're not even halfway done, so he's going to start giving us the wonderful endorsement of Superman, Man of Steel, and why it's such a great film.
No, it's not.
It's a good film for dumb fanboys.
Yeah.
Other than that,
All right, let's keep going.
In my opinion, the screenplay is very, very good. The tone and theme
It's just a good screenplay because he said so. Okay, great.
of the film are set during the Shakespearean-inspired sequence on Krypton. We see the fall of an entire race too blind to see the faults in their own society. And the
I want to know what Shakespearean plays he's referencing here. I'm guessing one of the political, like Henry the
Taming of the Shrew.
Not Taming of the Shrew, no, probably not. Probably Henry the Fourth or Third. I don't know, one of the Henry Shakespearean plays. Yeah, that's all I can think of.
King Lear, maybe?
No, not really, not even. No.
No, of course not. No. Actually, I think metaphysically speaking, outside the movie, I think it is King Lear. Okay.
I don't know.
The old king trying to just shove off all of his responsibilities and land on people he thinks loves him the most.
Yeah, when we say Shakespearean, we actually have in our brains what Shakespearean we're referring to, like say that the actors, how they talk, how they act, how they behave grander than life. And you could argue that these I don't know, senators from Krypton, whatever they are bigger than life, but which Shakespearean flavor? What are you talking about? Bigger than life, like Barber of Seville, Merchant of Venice, Taming of the Shrew. There's elements like what flavor of Shakespeare? The comedies, the romances, tragedies. Which ones?
Is it Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah, no.
Hamlet? No, which one is it?
Maybe. Yeah, we don't know.
I think the closest one might be Hamlet. Okay, I think maybe the closest one might be Hamlet. Maybe. If you stretch it enough.
Yeah, I just when people use the term, it's like, do you know what you mean? Please tell us. Ugh. Okay, so here's Zoc the Tism Major. Thank you, sir. Since EFAP refuses to do it, will you review Eric Taxon's video on rags? When did he do that?
Oh, no, I don't want to do an Eric Taxon video. No.
That's Patty Chan. That's Patty Chan. That would be interesting to get halfway, see how... it's kind of an endurance test at this point.
So this is a bit outside.
No, but you don't... It's like going for a fucking run. And it's like sometimes you just don't want to go for a run and you want to just kind of chill. And like say, have a nice, gentle walk.
Chill.
That's interesting.
We'll kill the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
Which one is it? I'm trying to look at his channel. I don't know what it is.
If it's the one where he has a fucking sexy dance in it, I definitely don't want to watch it.
Yeah, that's not something we need to see or expose anyone to.
Wait, did you say a sexy dance like from that scene in
Yep. He's
do
trying to copy. She is trying to copy what Rags does, where Rags has that like animated sexy dance with the dog. Where he like shakes his ass and everything. She tries to do something very similar, and I've never felt more. It's like a whole song and everything, and oh my god, I've never felt more sick in my life. It is. I'm sorry, but that is disgusting, and I never want to see it again.
Maybe you should watch it. Maybe you should watch it and play Goodbye Horses over it.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of that movie
Singing.
by What We Do in the Shadows, where they have that sexy dance scene, and everyone's like taking it very seriously. Good old Australian humor.
Yeah, that video, her anti-rags video is so awful. I watched the whole thing and I'm like, what? You are clearly taking him out of context. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you.
Okay, well, if someone puts it as a recommendation in the suggestions section of the channel, we will happily vote on it. That's fine.
I'll
watch
vote
it.
against it.
I will watch it. I will totally watch it.
I'll vote yes, and then we'll do it because I am the Senate.
Okay.
I love democracy.
Democracy is beautiful.
Because they are of the daddies.
And that's how democracy dies.
They're all daddies. Oh, no. You had to bring her up.
Dies. That's how democracy dies, with thunderous thighs.
Okay.
The hope that they will live on through Kal-El is tragically beautiful. The pride of Zod is on full display as every fiber of his being is set on saving the Kryptonians. After all,
How is it his pride? He's like saying, "Hey guys, we're all gonna die. You are bad." Wasn't he trying to help at this point? I can't remember the movie, honestly. Okay, he's prideful. Let's go with that.
it's
One thing I
his
didn't like about
entire-
this Krypton is that it doesn't look like a place anyone would be able to live. It's like a planet of crystals and stuff.
We don't understand. It's very alien. It's very cool, but I don't know if it fit. It goes on for like 20 minutes. You're like, what is going on in this scene?
Trade routes or something.
Yeah, like when I ever watch like animated Superman, it's always like they're in Jor-El's house. They're about to send off his son, and that's that. That's the whole scene. And they're crying. They're saying goodbye to their son. Oh, you are the hope of humanity. Da da da. You were the last son of a dead planet. And then we get Marlon Brando with his face zooming out and crystallizing. That's cool. So that's it. We don't need to know the backstory of the dead planet. It doesn't really help us.
It's kind of pointless, ultimately.
goal. He was bred with the purpose to protect Krypton at all costs. So with that in mind, his character becomes even more tragic, and the performance given by Michael Shannon is very powerful. He delivers Zod's lines with a laser-focused purpose and shows us who Zod is and why we should care about him.
You won't kill us yourself! You wouldn't sully your hands, but you'll damn us to a black hole for eternity! Jor-El was right. You're a pack of fools! Every last one of you!
Not only are the themes of hope and sacrifice established early on during this opening sequence, but what Zack Snyder is able to accomplish with Krypton is stunning.
See, that feels more like Julius Caesar than it does any of the other Shakespearean plays. Maybe Henry V, maybe, but because the haircut, the attitude, the military versus the...
That'd be kind of cool, actually, because General Zod's supposed to be like this big, powerful guy. He got there somehow, right? So we have to make a movie just about General Zod, but they modeled off of Caesar.
Right.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, the idea was that there was the military dude, and he was against the... Was it... Oh, what the hell was his name?
Pompey.
Well, he's against Pompey and then Crassus.
Crassus
He
was
gets
dead.
Cato,
That's his name, Cato.
Yeah,
Cato the Younger.
I think it was the younger. Yeah, the younger.
Yeah.
That's him. I think it was the younger. I'm pretty sure.
I remember because Christopher Walken played it, Cato the Younger.
Yeah, he sure did.
That
He
was
sure did. He
amazing. I don't know if
fantastic.
you guys ever seen Julius Caesar by Christopher Walken.
He was Cato. That's all right.
I-
How can it get any better than this with Christopher Walken playing Cato? It's
Get a
fantastic.
guy from, was it New York? I don't even know where his accent's from. But just you can do I play Cato. Yeah, sure.
Julius Caesar is amazing for now.
I am not the Senate, but my other Republicans are with me. Okay.
That's great.
Okay, Mad Courier 6. Smud, do you like Metal Gear Solid 3? It's one of my favorite Metal Gears. Thank you. The story is ridiculous and nonsensical. It is...
I love it.
It is pretty ridiculous. I don't think it's nonsensical. There are some crazy times, though. And of all the other stories, it's probably the least ridiculous, but it's still pretty ridiculous.
It's pretty insane. I love it though.
Yeah. And I like the sequels after it, because a lot of people don't know the sequels, like Co-op, or is it Co-ops? And then there's Peace Walker.
Yeah. Peace Walker. Peace Walker was for some reason, Peace Walker became an integral part of the series, but it was like for mobile or something.
Yeah, I played them both. I didn't get too far in Peace Walkers. I didn't like some of the enemies or the boss fights, but I loved the one before it. And Peace Walker was actually really good too. And that's the basis for all the other games that they designed with MGS5 and the mechanics of the Fulton recovery system and some of the fighting, picking people up, dragging them to your car or to your truck. It's hilarious. Like, you're pretty much a serial killer / abductee. in war. It's like, what's this? The enemy. Steal him to your side. Throw him in your truck. You give him like 2 weeks in the prison, then he's ours. He'll come around. It's like, okay.
And it's a brainwash him until he's a loyal soldier.
Yeah. It's hilarious. So MGS3 is great because they introduced a lot of things like the camo system, the damage system with bullets, and you have to do your own triage. You have to do all these crazy things, and the fighting, like they actually start doing CQC. So lots of great fighting there. But that was the basis for the mobile games, which I loved. So Zach, that is a major. Thank you, sir. Thoughts on Bone Tomahawk, my new favorite film? Is that a new film?
It's been out for a little while, a couple of years, I think. But it's known for being really, really violent. I found it okay.
I haven't even heard it. I'll have to check it out.
Looks like a Western. Yeah, probably check it out later. Thanks, Zach. Always appreciate suggestions. All right, let's keep going.
The amount of that went into the design of the world is wholly unique, and the visual storytelling done by Snyder and cinematographer Amir Mokri is
Yeah, if the movie was about Krypton, that'd be awesome. I would have watched that film. But it's not.
It's a pseudo make of the first two Superman movies.
I don't mind the casting. The casting was almost perfect, but it's what they were
Yeah,
working
the casting's great. It's just there's some logic issues at a lot of points in this movie. Like, why is Superman like this? It seems as though he should have more maturity,
more intelligence. I didn't like the plot with the whole DNA being encoded in his body or whatever that was about. The codex.
Where he's basically made into a human coffin for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, he's basically the setup for Brave New World, where you have designer babies, because that's Krypton.
Oh yeah.
So he has the codes.
Porgy Ford and Fun.
Yeah, it's just he's a walking Brave New World. You're like, oh, that's weird. I don't know why you did that, guys, but okay. So they don't want to kill Superman, but they have to get the code, so they can make more Kryptonians. It's like, listen, there's other ways to make Krypton throughout the galaxy. You have a spaceship. You can go anywhere. What's stopping you?
You can. Well, apparently the weirdest thing was they grew the babies. There wasn't any natural births.
Right.
I believe.
It looked like it was like a tree underwater or something. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah. It's like they were genetically designing babies or something. But are they doing it in terms of taking a sperm and egg and hatching in one of those little tube or pustule things? It didn't make sense to me.
Here's a Fran Mataraki. I don't know what you're screaming, but why do now that name?
How do you know that name?
What is that name?
How do you know that name?
Martha!
Save Martha!
I just like the point in the Nostalgia Critic review with Angry Joe, where they make fun of that part. It's like, we're going to kill you. Oh, wait, your mom is named Martha too? From now on, we are the best of friends. Instant best friends. Because they're both their moms are named Martha.
Yeah, that part's dumb.
That's a totally other movie, but I know what you're talking about.
The intention of the film was, the intention of that moment was supposed to be that it's showing Batman that Superman, he is human, he has a mother, he's a person, but it is executed incredibly poorly.
They should have made it less hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it looks so stupid. It looks like he just stops it because Heath, they have the same. Yeah, it's like, oh, wait, our mothers have the same name. It's like, oh, let's be friends. I'm not gonna kill you now.
Can you imagine
instead of him maybe realizing that, oh shit, he is human.
Just think about it. Think about it. He's fighting some random mook, and I don't know, maybe he has a girlfriend named Martha. He's like, Martha, get out of here. He's like, what? What did you say?
Why'd you say that name?
He just flips out. And for like 2 minutes, he's staring at him. Then he puts him down. Like, okay, I'm gonna go now. It's like, what? Batman, what the hell's wrong with you?
The Joker's identity. He finds the Joker's identity, and Joker has a mother named Martha. Okay, we guess we're best friends now, Joker.
It's like Batman's kryptonite. You just say that word. He's like, uh-oh. I'm not going to fight you anymore. This bizarre form of storytelling. Random chance, I know your mother's name, which happens to be my mother's name.
Also, like Grandma Alfred. When are you going to give me grandkids, Bruce?
Yeah.
When are you going to give me grandkids? If Bruce has a daughter and doesn't name her Martha, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. Here's Mad Courier 6. That was some fancy talking, Smud. You're pretty good. Yeah, well. That was the wonderful last thing that... was it MGS4? That Ocelot said? Yeah. You're pretty good.
Yeah. Also, the MGS4 was pretty good also. Actually.
That was I remember it because the slap fight was two old men trying to beat the shit out of each other. And I was comparing that...
It's really insane. It's really insane.
I was comparing that to Last of Us 2 because it's pretty much the same thing. Only two girls who don't know what they're doing. Just like, nah.
What was it? Ocelot he grafted the arm of Liquid Snake onto him and then used self-induced hypnosis to make himself think he's Liquid. It's really insane.
It's so stupid. It's as if Kojima was like retconning himself. You're like, Kojima, what are you doing? Stop it! Stop talking. What are you talking?
It's like it's seen Obi-Wan, like what was it, the robot chicken, where like Obi-Wan mind tricks himself in the mirror. It's like, you're a very attractive man for your age. I am a very attractive man for my age. Mind wiping himself.
Oh boy, yeah, we can make jokes about Hideo Kojima all day, but we're not going to because that's probably a topic for another movie or video. Because all he does is make video.
Yeah,
he makes movies in game format.
When I actually find out when I actually have more of an opinion to have, because I've never played any of the Metal Gear games.
Oh boy, it's just they're oh god.
I heard a rundown of.
They're an absolute treat.
I heard a rundown of like the latest Metal Gear game, and I'm like,
oh boy,
what is like? I think Jeremy Johns did a review of it. And I watched it because I have no intention of playing this game, and I was just like, what? Who? What? This is a what? A what? Who? What now? I have no idea what's going on.
It's basically he wants to be M. Night Shyamalan, and he tries so hard every freaking game to be him. And it's just like, can you stop doing that, please?
Passed him up.
M. Night Shyamalan hasn't been good in decades.
Wasn't he only good once? Is he like a one-hit wonder sort of guy?
Oh, I think like 2. Unbreakable is apparently pretty good, and The Sixth Sense is good. Everything else is okay to trash. Like After Earth, trash. Last Airbender, soiled trash.
All right, let's keep going.
Amazing. The themes of hope and sacrifice are the foundations that the film is built on, and they are woven spectacularly throughout the film. It begins with the sacrifice.
Okay, let's think about this. Do you guys know the themes of Man of Steel? I'm trying to think, but...
It seems as though
apparently Superman's Christie. He's like Christ or something.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to illustrate the fact that Superman is a demigod among mortals, metaphorically and literally. There's also a lot of kind of partially it's kind of has a wrench thrown in it because of all of the collateral damage that is like throughout this movie. So many people die in this movie because of especially in the fight against Zod.
So maybe not hope and sacrifice, maybe more hope and destruction or death.
Yeah, and especially since like Superman for the first time on like a screen, even like an animated TV that wasn't like an Elseworlds, the mainline Superman killed somebody.
Right.
The only other Superman that I'm aware of that killed on screen was in Justice League, where it was the Elseworlds Superman, who is supposed to be a pretty awful totalitarian dude, and that was just who he became after the Flash died. But thankfully, when the same thing happened in the Justice League Unlimited, mainline Superman was able to control himself and said, "No, I'm better than this, and I'm not going to kill you, Lex Luthor."
Yep, that reminds me of Red Sun. I don't think he does. I think he does kill people. It's not really shown. He does lobotomize people, though. That's freaky. And then he turns them into drones, which I thought was awesome. But that's what happens when you go to the Ruskies, guys. You have Superman lobotomize you, and you become like a dishwasher for the rest of your life or something.
Of Jor-El and Lara by staying on Krypton, embracing the fate of the fools who doom their planet. But this is juxtaposed spectacularly by the hope that their son Kal-El will continue on and be the living embodiment of everything that is great about Krypton. After arriving on Earth, hope and sacrifice are the key components when telling Clark Kent's backstory. This is personified by the relationship between Clark and his adoptive father, Jonathan Kent. Many people who love this movie have issues with how Jonathan Kent was portrayed in Man of Steel, and while I understand those frustrations, you have to realize this is not the all-knowing, perfect, endlessly humble Jonathan Kent that we grew up with.
Okay, that's fine. He doesn't have to be all-knowing, but then again, that's the argument. He's not the Jonathan Kent we expect. He's this other guy who is his own rendition of Jonathan Kent, which is fine, but that doesn't make it great. Like, the title of this thing is Man of Steel is a great Superman movie. Okay, compared to what? Compared to another Superman movie or another rendition of the story where Jonathan Kent is the salt-of-the-earth farmer. He has all the right answers. He teaches Clark right from wrong. Da-da-da-da-da. Not to say what they did in this movie was wrong. It's just not as good. It's not the same. There's not the same quality to it. And this is what I really focus on, because this is what makes Superman Superman, is the whole relationship of his family and what they teach him.
But our expectations were subverted with Superman's dad. Obviously, that means good, right? Because our expectations were subverted. We didn't expect that.
It's interesting because he does make you think. He's like, should you save a school bus full of kids in the risk of revealing yourself? And you're like, well, Jonathan Kent would say, of course you would. You have to save life. Life is important. But then there's the bigger problem of revealing this alien. It would change everything. It would change how we see the world. So you have to be secretive. You have to have a separate identity. You have to do all these things to cover it up. And that was a big part of the Smallville series, which, as dumb as that show was, and it was pretty dumb.
I've heard nothing but bad, like mixed to dumb things about that show.
There's entire seasons which are completely stupid. But because they focus on the logistics of doing that, like, oh, I got to run really fast so no one can see me. So there's always the red-blue blur is going through Smallville and Metropolis as well. So they have to play around with Clark trying to become Superman. It's this whole journey getting there and learning his abilities and growing. Like his heat vision is based on his arousal, which is kind of cool. Because it's really hot.
Wait, what?
His arousal. He's attracted to this teacher, that is a new supply teacher who comes in, and she's in a tight dress, really hot, and they're watching some nature program on sex with like animals mating, and he's looking at the screen, and his eyes start flashing, and they start blowing holes in the screen. And then he goes out to the farm. He's like, Dad, I don't know what's going on. So he's, all right, son, you look at that scarecrow. And you just do your thing. And he's just lighting the scarecrow on fire. It's like, yeah.
Oh, God. Wait, so that's implying that he... So he...
He's getting aroused. He's getting aroused. And practicing on a scarecrow. It's awesome. I love it.
Fuck. God damn! I was gonna say fuck me, but no.
That's really interesting. That's
I know.
Really funny.
For a little
No,
show
it
like
isn't.
that to do that, and it's so heavily implied, but they never say it. You're like, oh, they're doing it. He's gonna practice. Like, yeah.
What is he jerking off while he's doing?
It's
So
great.
when he does his heat vision, he's just thinking of Lois or something.
Yeah, so whenever he gets aroused, you have to be very careful not to blow holes in Lois's head or whatever is going on.
So
Oh,
when Superman is lobotomizing people,
He's
what does he
really
do?
enjoying it.
Yeah.
I feel really sorry for Lois if like they ever get in bed together.
Maybe he's controlled himself by that. And he
Oh yeah,
closes
for sure.
his
I'm just
eyes.
saying that's how he got it. That's how he learned of it. So it's fun.
Grew up with. This version is more relatable than any other version of the character that I can think of. He's just a
Then you have not honestly thought of Superman over the dozens of years in comics and videos and books. Pick any of the big names. The Death of Superman, Kingdom Come, All Star. This is not the best rendition. I'm sorry. There's other versions of which are much more relatable.
Yeah.
Red Sun is great.
Justice League is better. The show, not the movie.
Oh, the show for sure.
The movie is utter pants. We have Justice
Yeah,
League
the
Unlimited.
Justice League animated show is like fantastic. It has such a great depiction of all the heroes.
Yeah.
And it's a What's even better is it's kind of like the Avengers of like TV animated TV. So it's like you watch the Superman animated series, then you watch or you first you watch Batman, and then you watch Superman, and then that's finally together in the Justice League, and it's like, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
father
It's
who
a
wants the best for
continuation.
his son. Knowing how the world will react to the existence of Superman and wanting Clark to be ready for those consequences of revealing himself is at the forefront of Jonathan's mind. And it turns out he was right. While the majority of people put their hopes and their faith in Superman, there are those who feared him and who would go to great lengths to eliminate the Man of Steel. But I'm not defending Batman versus Superman, and I don't think I ever will. The point here is that Jonathan Kent was just a loving father who wanted his son to live a normal life. He didn't know the answer to the question, what do I do if a school bus of kids are drowning? So he allowed Clark to make the decision when he was ready, and Clark chose to save everyone.
You were sent here for a reason.
Did he now? I'm trying to think of, did he save all those people in Metropolis? I'm quite sure he didn't.
They kind of died.
Lots of property damage, lots of people getting crushed by buildings.
And skyscrapers
Yeah.
fucking crashing.
Or that moment where Superman lasers through several buildings. You're not telling me there weren't a few people vaporized.
Quite sure he didn't save everyone. That would have been a huge issue of the story, that he went out of his way to protect people. And he tries at times, but most of the part he's just fighting. See, I really wish he would reference things. This is where he saves people. It's like, you're right, he does save people. And then here's where he murders people.
All these changes that you're going through, one day you're going to think of them as a blessing, and when that day comes, you're going to have to make a choice. A choice of whether to stand proud in front of the human race or not.
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son.
So the sacrifice Jonathan Kent makes to show Clark that the human race is not beyond redemption is a very important scene, and it
is an important scene. It's also a very stupid scene.
It's like he doesn't save his father. It's like, who would blame you for saving? What the fuck? Why is this? Never mind.
Yeah, when your father is about to be killed by a tornado and you can save him, that's a pretty good time to jump in there and save him.
And he didn't have to do anything like superhuman. He just had to run over there and hold on to him, and that'd be that. It'd be like, what happened out there? Oh, we fell to the ground and we were okay. We went into the car. We're fine. We saved the dog too. It's like, okay, great, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Clark Kent and slash Superman has to go through his entire life with the burden that he could have saved his father, and didn't.
Then he gave up.
Exactly. Then he was going to he's going to save his father, and then he gave up.
Like this would have been the scene where he says, "I choose to save my dad over my secret," but he could have done it smart. He says, "Hey, Dad, no one figured it out. I did it. I saved you, and no one discovered me." I think it's all about them not noticing who I am, or maybe I need a secret identity, or maybe I need to wear a mask, or whatever. That would have been great.
That would need a pair of problem glasses, and no one will even look my way.
Yeah. In the comics, the glasses are magical, believe it or not. I can't remember which they revealed. This is like early on in the 50s or 60s, where they reveal that the glasses have magical properties, so they can't tell who it is when they put them on, even though they look exactly the same.
I think it's actually a stronger argument than people might realize. People actually don't recognize that sort of thing. You'd think they would, but we don't.
Yeah.
I remember there's like a psychological test where they came in with retail, and they actually had the person kneel down to get something from underneath the desk, and while the customer is looking at them, a different guy altogether comes out from underneath the desk, and the customer does not notice.
Something that that Nostalgia Critic brought up in his review of like Nolan movies is that they pontificate quite a bit, and it's not really like interesting pontification. It just sounds like the characters are just like making speeches at each other for no other reason.
For the trailer.
Yeah. Either for the trailer or just because like he thinks it's philosophically deep, when in reality it's kind of just not. One of the issues here is that it's Chris Terrio trying to be Christopher Nolan. I don't know how much Christopher Nolan was involved in this.
Just the producer.
A lot of this, yeah.
Compared to
the issue is like the plot doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, compared to 300, where Frank Miller was directly involved with each shot. He didn't direct it. He just says, okay, this is good. Don't do that. This is good. But that's a totally different production. Totally different story. Where if you read the 300 comic, it's like, wow, this is brutal. So obviously they have to do something very similar on the screen. Here is Sensei Mike. Thank you, sir. Smud, do you think the Snyder Cut will fix some problems with Justice League? Sure. I'm sure it will.
No.
It will also cause a lot more. So you're talking about a different story. You're talking about a patchwork. You're talking about two different directors and writers coming together. So yeah, it will obviously fix problems. That's why Zach wants to do it. It's his vision, but it will cause a bunch of others as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they can do with Justice League. Like it's going to be totally different than what they did, but it's really going to be bad.
Exactly. They're introducing so many new characters. I'm like, okay, they had like 3 the last time I checked. Now they have like 12. And you're like, okay, this is... How are you going to get screen time for all these characters? What are they going to do to the plot? How are they going to affect the ending? I don't know. It's too much. So will it be different? Sure. Will it fix some problems? Sure. Will it cause a lot more? Of course. So...
serves to remind us of the themes of sacrifice and hope. The idea that
The
this
themes.
version of Superman is not built with that same foundation of hope that he is in the comic books is just objectively wrong. But here,
You're objectively wrong, guys. I got to read that or listen to that one more time. Let's keep going.
serves to remind us of the themes of sacrifice and hope. The idea that this version of Superman is not built with that same foundation of hope that he is in the comic books is just objectively wrong.
Okay. What's the theme of hope in Superman? I don't know. I don't see it. I see a bleak future whenever Superman's involved.
Yeah, because he is irresponsible. He's kind of a jerk. Like when he casually throws down the satellites that's tracking him, is like, that's scary. That's not hopeful.
Yeah, when he goes outside and destroys that dude's truck because he wanted to. It's like, dude, are you a child? Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Or even at the end.
I honestly
where
believed it a
he
lot more
destroys
when Shazam wrecked that pickup truck because he's a kid.
He's a kid, yeah. He's like, how dare you do that? Well, Superman's a grown man, and not even that. He's Superman. Like, he's not a man. You can highlight the man, right? Sure, people often forget that, but you can't forget the super either. There's a reason why he's super. It's not just because of his powers. Okay.
Yeah, he's able to take the hit, whether it's physical or emotional or spiritual, whatever. He's like, yeah, you're gonna say some bad words to me. Oh no, I'm gonna
That's
go
kind of
outside.
What makes him a hero.
Yeah.
Regular people might get mad at that, but what makes him a hero is that he will take it and he'll do the right thing. That's a difference.
Take it like a
between
man.
Yeah, take it like a man. But then he gave
Also-
up. He didn't.
Also, like, he reveals so much about his backstory to the federal government, including that he grew up in Kansas. They should know who Superman is.
Yeah, it's a process of elimination. Oh, Kansas, great. We got you narrowed down. Okay, we'll look back your records of the past 50 years. There you are.
Yeah. Which kind of brings up the problem of how do they not utilize census records to just find these superheroes? Especially the ones that don't wear masks?
Yeah.
I think because you're setting this in a super ultra realistic setting, and if you're bringing it into like it's easier to get away with Superman, not wearing anything on his face, and people not knowing who he is really. But when you get into the super realistic, there's a difference between the comic book sort of like more light-hearted. There's more things you get away with than super ultra realistic. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's a lower suspension of disbelief in terms of lower things that you can believe when you're trying to be realistic. Because Superman, it's hard to do Superman like in a realistic fashion because you have to account for a lot of things. You can't just hand wave stuff away. You have to take things into consideration.
Okay, here's John Lemley. Thank you, sir. I have to watch this later because I'm busy right now, but I'm sure you're doing a great job talking about this video, talking about subtle imagery. Well, yeah, some things we're talking about subtle imagery, and some things we're talking about bigger ideas, like the themes. So, thanks for joining us, John. Do appreciate it. But there's a comment here by James Carmichael I wanted to bring up. There hasn't been a good Superman movie since Superman 2, and part of me would agree. And we were talking about Superman 3 before we started streaming with Richard Pryor. And I think the plot of that movie was, or at least for Richard Pryor's plot, was the same plot of Office Space, where they take the percentages or fractions of a fraction of a penny, and it just accumulates. And
yeah, that's their whole plan. We're going to do that, but it backfires, and they end up seeing a whole bunch more money than that.
Right. So that was Pryor's plan, and then he got all his money, and then he started hacking. It gets really weird in Superman 3. It's kind of goofy and funny, but there's a girl that gets transformed into a cyborg, and there's this computer becomes self-aware. You're like, okay. It's kind of funny. If you know the technology of the 70s and 80s of supercomputers, I actually kind of do because my dad worked with computers then. It's kind of believable, but it's also over the top silly. So if it's campy and fun, you kind of go with it, and it's for kids, you get it. But it's still pretty goofy to watch as an adult. So I think it won Best Sci-Fi Movie, actually, of the year. So there might not have been any science fiction stories. I don't know. They should have been. Superman 3 must have been like 84 or 85. So it must have been right after Star Wars, I assume.
But here's the thing. He's not infallible. He can make mistakes, and that's perfectly fine. He isn't an omniscient being who always knows what the right thing to do is. And
see, that's not Superman to us. We want him to be as close to perfect as possible. Not to say he is perfect, but he always does the right thing, just not perfectly right.
He should be a good man in a world where doing the right thing is a difficult thing.
Right. And we don't really get that. Like, he doesn't try to stop the buildings from being destroyed. He doesn't try to save all the people when Zod is about to annihilate them with his eye lasers.
And he feels very little in terms of emotional like turmoil relating to all the people that died in Metropolis. Like I do not see any of that, especially the ones that might have been caused by his actions. Even in Dawn of Justice, there's very little.
Throughout the film, we get to see a young Clark Kent who wants nothing more than to protect people, even when the risk of revealing himself is great. After his father's death, we get to see Clark mature from a man who is lost in the world, who is unsure of himself and where his place is, to a man that becomes the beacon of hope that Jonathan and Jor-El always knew he could be. All of this culminates in one of the most breathtaking sequences in the history of cinema, at least in my opinion.
Breathtaking. In all of cinema, guys. Just the best. There's nothing other...
He's not a symbol of hope. He's terrifying.
He is looking at the U.S. military and laughing at it.
Yeah, like at the end, he throws down a military satellite right in front of a general. And then there's that tone problem where the chick is saying, "Oh, I think he's hot," to her commanding officer. Oh, that's funny. But it's just like, this Superman has complete control of the airspace. Complete control over, has destroyed a city.
Yeah, pretty much leveled the town.
Yeah, leveled the town, like destroyed large sections of Metropolis, and demonstrated that he is capable of killing a guy. Yes, in the defense of a set of random nobodies that we don't care about, but he's demonstrated he's willing to kill people. That should terrify the U.S. military beyond words, that they have a overpowered alien who is willing to kill people. And then he kills so many more people in Dawn of Justice, pretty deliberately.
Yeah, like when you have an introduction like that, and if you are trying to be nice and good and prove to people, hey, I'm on your side, you have to have a big announcement. You have to be, hey, here, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to cause destruction, even though you saw, this spaceship come down and nearly kill everyone. I stopped that, and I'm sorry something's got destroyed. It's my fault. I'm going to help you. I'm going to rebuild. I'm going to do all these. Like, you have to do all the little stuff, all the details of having a force for good. And you do every single thing. You take all the hits. You bend over backwards. And you don't treat yourself like a god or someone above everyone else. You have to bring yourself down to the ground. And he kind of does that when he gives himself up to the military and sort of, talks and what have you. But it's the consequences of his actions don't match up to what the ending was. And that is kind of the problem. He's not there rebuilding. He's not there spending all this time with people who lost family members. That would have been, it's not just stopping the bad guy. There's a lot more to being Superman than just being super strong and flying in and saving the day.
Yeah, a lot of heroes stop the bad guy. Superman will go out and start rebuilding things, start trying to comfort the families. He's not just the guy who wants to do the big things. He's the guy who does the little things too.
Yeah, you've got financial problems, he'll crush a diamond for you. And
that would have beautiful.
It's like, here you go, here's your money.
What a simple solution. I don't have time, I got stuff to do, boom, money, gone, I gotta go buy. Like, that would be great. That would be fantastic. And he could do that, go really quickly, save people, stop bullets, stop things from blowing up, stop bridges from collapsing.
Like, hey, I'm sorry your home is now destroyed, but hey, here's a couple million with a diamond. There
exactly.
Superman's first flight. Snyder is at the top of his game here.
Power fantasy. That's not.
Yes.
That's not Snyder being at the top of his game. I don't know what that means though. what has Snyder done that's so good, aside from 300, which is a bunch of gory action? Is that
it's a big dumb move. That is a dumb move. That is big dumb fun.
I mean, we wanted Superman to be, entrenched in hope punk, especially now in the age of Trump.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
This was before Trump. Is the funny thing. This is in 2012, and then they waited for like 4 years to bring out Batman v Superman, and barely anybody liked it.
Batman vs Superman and Justice League, they're so like critically shat on. It's like people that even pass it, like, oh my fucking god, it's that thing. No, kill it with fire. It's a disgusting thing.
And people have hope for the Snyder Cut, so.
Which is not going to be that good. It's going to be.
It's gonna be a mishmash, and I hope it turns out well, but I just can't see it working that way.
No, it's not like Professor. I think. Well, I don't necessarily agree with Professor Geek on a lot of things, but I totally agree that the Snyder Cut fans are no better than the people clamoring that love The Last Jedi and want that sort of thing.
Yeah,
they just want that specific type of thing. And it's just let the characters be their characters and go towards the other characters in DC or Marvel that have these qualities. Just you don't need to change Superman in order to have these things.
Another thing you have to keep in mind is that the Snyder Cut became a meme, and it's while it's great that listening to fans, it's I still don't think it's going to be that great of a film, because the film it's based on is absolutely terrible. There could be some improvements, because it's not going to have these really weird, light-hearted moments, which kind of contradict the Zack Snyder's really dark and gritty tone. Because you've got someone who's written this very dark, gritty film, and then you're jumping to making it really light-hearted with a guy who's known for making light-hearted superhero films. It's a contradiction.
The way that he depicts the immense power of Superman while also giving us a glimpse of the weight put on the shoulders of someone who is given such an important task is utterly jaw-dropping.
Okay, this guy really likes this movie.
Clearly. He is... That's the problem with Snyder fans. They are very they seem like they're delusional people, or at least they have very specific and weird tastes, similar to the people who like The Last Jedi.
I guess when you saw Yoda jump around with his lightsaber, people were pretty jaw-dropped, I guess. I guess. I don't know. It was a surprise, for sure.
It's not that big of a contradiction. It's not... It looks ridiculous, yes, and it's comedic. But it's kind of it's trying to be awesome, and it kind of works, but it's also really funny because it's this tiny green ball of a lightsaber going.
Yeah.
But it's not a contradiction of his character, because it seems as though Yoda in the original series is a post-war depressed Yoda.
But this is just a power fantasy on the screen. Oh, I can fly. Woohoo! And he's flying. He's going really fast. He's going up. You're all right, yeah, you're cool. Whatever. Learning to fly. Gotcha.
And then the power fantasy shifts rapidly when you see the wanton destruction that happens and how many people are likely dead.
Yeah. So not exactly a story of hope. I really want to know where the hope is. I'm not sure where this theme is, because when you see a theme, when I see it, what I call a theme is the most conflicted thing that's happening in a story. So if you're watching a movie or a story about soccer, like a soccer tournament, then the conflict is a soccer game. It's all the issues related to soccer, fighting, playing against someone else. So
teamwork.
Yeah, man
Teamwork
versus
is-
man. Essentially, that's the theme. So with this, the hope has to be a conflict. You're like, okay, what's conflicting about hope? Where is the hopeful conflict or whatever? And I don't see it.
What exactly is Superman bringing hope to the world via? There was kind of an idea that I heard, that when Superman comes out, the film's palette shifts to become a more bright color rather than the desaturated kind of monochrome, boring look that the film has.
Well, when you think of the villain who's all powerful, they have like these three powerful dudes, and there's other ships and what have you, and they're about to destroy the world. So they need someone to do that. The only one who could do it is Superman. You're like, okay, that would be a sense of hope. But it's never really played up to that point. It's never said, hey, only Superman can do it. If only he were here. Oh, I wish he was here right now. And no, I don't really get that feeling of aspiration or hope from anyone. It's more
even that when Superman comes, the deaths stop happening because he is the person that ends the fighting by his awesome power and saves people throughout the fight, not just at the end when Zod's eyes are carefully trickling towards those poor people.
Yeah, I never liked that scene because we're talking about eyeballs, okay? And if you can direct your eyes in multiple directions and you just happen to shoot lasers out of them, looking left and right happens very quickly.
Well, okay, so I will kind of maybe defend it a bit because I think the depiction isn't that it's coming out of the pupils, it's coming out of the eyes themselves, and in every depiction it's always kind of in a straight line, but it's still kind of a stupid scene.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much
in almost every depiction of Superman, it's kind of that the entire eye is lighting up and it going directly forwards. It's not based on where he's looking; it's just his head direction.
It's So what you're saying is the biology of this thing does not make any logical sense in any way, shape, or form.
Well, you have to think that Zod was taunting him. Like, you're going to let me kill these people. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, yes, you are. And like, oh. he's getting him to snap his neck. Like, do it. You can do it. Like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to kill you. It's like, okay, just get on with it.
Which is kind of a violation of Superman's character. But the problem is, it was never set up that he thinks killing people is a bad thing in the movie.
The thing is, if he could snap his neck, he could also strangle him and turn his neck, not violently,
or just knock him unconscious,
or any number of Superman things, like pick him up and fly around out of there. It's like, just what's stopping you? Like, go for it.
Yeah. Or just
get in the
throw him
way.
into space.
Get in the way of the laser beams. Like, do anything. You're Superman. Come on.
Or cover his eyes with his hand.
Yes, exactly.
His hand is basically invulnerable to everything.
Here's some super chats. Here's Sensei Mike. Where was Zach going with the Jesus scene? You know what? And of all of that, that was the one thing I enjoyed. He goes to the church for guidance. Like, that would have been... You could do a lot with that scene. It was okay. It wasn't a bad scene, but they could have done a lot more. So the fact that he comes in and he's asking the priest for help, I think they needed a lot more of that in the story, because it's as if Clark never learned anything and he's just figuring it out when things get to shit.
It kind of seems like a big problem with Man of Steel is that a lot of the scenes do not move into each other. They're kind of isolated in a lot of ways. Would everybody agree with that?
There's distinctly chapters or acts that are separate. That you're like, okay, now he's a kid, now he's this old, and now he's saving people or trying to save people on a rig somewhere, and it's like, all right, they're not quite connected to the previous scene, so it's just its own little episode, and then he comes back to Smallville. Yeah.
And then even afterward, when he the the church scene is never really mentioned, and afterward, and like it doesn't seem to play any role into what he does, and there's very little character development in this movie.
Right.
It just seems to come in fits and starts.
But I'm glad they at least had a church scene. When you think of religion, you think of America. Yeah, you're going to have some Roman Catholic church somewhere, and what better guidance than having a priest or some sort of spiritual leader? That's totally normal and fine. I thought that works. Yeah, if it was in I don't know, Saudi Arabia, he'd go to a mosque. Whatever the case may be, that would have been fine too. So I just wanted more teaching. I wanted more philosophy. I wanted more reasoning why Clark is the way he is, aside from just being a drifter. So here's Lenny the Shark. Thanks, sir. Tell me something. Do you bleed?
Just so you know, I don't give a fuck. Inside the bag, all the fucks I give.
I said that every time I watch The Last Jedi. Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
Apparently he bleeds blue milk. Green milk, I mean.
God, we watched that crazy behind the scenes. Like, oh. So sad. Guys, do not watch the behind the scenes Last Jedi whatever.
Sorry I missed that. I was suffering through the behind the scenes of Battle of the Bastards.
That sounds pretty bad too.
Oh yeah, that
Next
was
on
pretty
the list,
bad.
Last Jedi with director's commentary.
Oh no. They actually did that?
Yep, there's a director's commentary.
Do I really want to listen to Rian Johnson for 2 hours?
I can't remember whose idea it was, but it wasn't mine. And
I will.
You can't blame me.
I will. Since I missed Director and the Jedi, I will be there for that one. I will, like, if you tell me the day, I will plan my streaming schedule around it.
Okay.
So, Francis, you don't get to complain that I made you suffer. I didn't make you suffer. You asked to be on here, and I did it. Let you come on.
All right, let's keep going before I get more depressed.
With the words of Jor-El in the back of his mind, Clark makes his decision to become Superman, the embodiment of hope that the world so desperately needs. After the return of Zod and his followers, we get into the territory where people who don't like the film really start speaking up, and I'd like to get this out of the way as soon as possible. The idea that Superman doesn't save people is just ridiculous. He surrenders himself to Zod so no harm will come to the people of Earth. And after learning Zod's plan, Superman makes the decision to let Krypton die so humanity can be saved, making a sacrifice for the hope of the future. So let me say it again. Superman saves the entire human race in this movie. He flies across the planet to stop the world engine and then flies back to face Zod, whose entire goal is to end all life on Earth so Krypton could be reborn.
Okay, he saves the planet in one of the worst ways possible.
He is more destructive in this than most he is as destructive in this movie as a nuclear bomb.
See that background behind him? That's what he did.
That's a nuclear wasteland. That is horrifying.
That is
so many
Fallout.
people are dead.
That's Fallout 4 right there.
That is a huge death toll. So many. There is no way they evacuated the city.
And I like how he stopped the world creator thing by going into the beam and trying to fly into it. Why don't you go any other direction from any other angle? It's like, no, I'm going to fly into the beam. Okay.
Also, why would you try to terraform Earth into Krypton? It just seems so stupid because you would lose your superpowers.
I don't know what they were thinking with... Like, there's other planets, there's other solar systems. Why was Earth so ideal? I don't know. There was Mars. Mars looked pretty good.
Yeah, Mars is perfect. It's got a red sun. It's not quite as close, but you still get, like, the rays of the red sun. And if you are terraforming the darn planet, you're going to get a good atmosphere. It's so dumb.
Yeah, very strange. Don't know what the plot of Zod was all about, but I like the scale of it. I like the grandioseness of it. I just don't like the practicality of it. It doesn't quite. It's like, wait, we can just go over there. It's like, yeah, why not? We have like so many planets if you want to use this solar system. And
Yeah. The spectacle is something that Zack Snyder does well. Like, I think he actually does spectacle better than Michael Bay. In terms of, like, with Michael Bay, you can barely see what's going on because he just uses frantic, shaky cam even with CGI. But at least, like, Zack Snyder, like, frames his shots relatively well. They're really darkly lit most of the time, and they're kind of gray sludgy, but at least you can see them.
right. So the argument here is that Superman saves all of humanity. Yeah, he saves the planet, but in the process, he kills a heck of a lot of people, destroys at least 2 places, and isn't exactly the nicest about it.
One question you'll hear a lot of people bring up when discussing this film is, why didn't Superman do more to prevent the destruction of Smallville and Metropolis? Why didn't he do more to save innocent bystanders? Well, here's the thing. Superman was doing everything in his power to stop these alien invaders, and anytime a chance came about to save just 1 or 2 people, he took that opportunity. But this isn't the Superman that's in his prime that we see in the comic books.
Okay, so his argument is he's not as good as the Superman in the comic books. Therefore, he's not as good as that comic book character.
I think what he's referring to is specifically power level. So it's supposed to be that this isn't Superman after years of experience. This is supposed to be a new Superman.
That's possible.
But even then, that still doesn't work.
Even if that's the possibility in the story, he should have been struggling to save everyone and failing to do so. That would have made fine, because then you'd say, well, he wanted to do it. He doesn't have the strength to do it. He doesn't know how to fly over there at that speed or whatever. Then you'd be like, oh, okay. So you're telling a dark, gritty Superman story who's not yet Superman trying to be Superman. Then we would be like, oh, okay, now we get it. But that's not what it was. He didn't save people. He didn't try to. He fought with Zod. He beat the crap out of anyone who came near him and blew away buildings like they were nothing. He didn't try to pick them up and bring everyone to another direction or location to fight them. And if he did, he got knocked down again and it's like, listen, okay, you try a different tactic there, Kyle. You got lots of options. You can fly, you can run really fast, you can freeze people, do all sorts of things.
The movie tells this multiple times, and people still ignore it.
You are weak, son of hell. Unsure of yourself. The fact that you possess a sense of morality, and we do not, gives us an evolutionary advantage.
Clark was fighting off the Sword of Ra followers, soldiers who were literally bred to be warriors, given DNA to make them faster and stronger than any other Kryptonian. Trained for years to become living weapons, and you're complaining because Superman wasn't able to casually force Zod to fight him in space.
No.
What?
God.
He fought in populated areas where massive destruction left in his wake. He destroyed an entire train. When he threw someone at a train, he exploded, and he came back and threw the train back at him. They destroyed helicopters. They destroyed buildings. They destroyed, that family restaurant. It was just ridiculous stuff.
A small Mexican family restaurant.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculously destructive that frickin' Age of Ultron is directly taking pot shots at it by having deliberate refugee programs throughout the movie to, like, contrast with how utterly destructive this movie is.
Either he's in control of a situation or he's not. And there's never that confidence we get. He's never, like, sure of himself, I can do this. I just got to maneuver this. I have a strategy. It's always just, nope, I'm getting the crap knocked out of me. I don't know what to do.
If you're fighting someone, you could draw them away. So, like, if you punch someone and then say, oh, come on, you start flying away, pretending that you're fleeing. And there's like, if the guy doesn't follow you, is that what you do is you come back, you hit him again, and then you run off again. And it's like you're trying to lure them away, and he doesn't even try to lure them away. That way, you know, people aren't going to die when he gets thrown through a building and the building collapses.
And I think they explain his powers not necessarily from the sun, but from the atmosphere? The air? Because all of the other Kryptonians are in suits. And as soon as Zod gets his suit punctured, it breaks down and he starts breathing in air and he starts hallucinating and having all these problems. And then he gets strong. I'm like, oh, so it's the air? I can't recall.
It's supposed to be the red sun, as far as I'm aware, but that doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I think every explanation I've heard is that it's the yellow sun that gives them his power.
Right, from the comics mostly, yeah. Yeah. But I think in the movie it was the atmosphere. I'd have to look at it one more time. So.
Wait, then why were they trying to terraform the atmosphere?
To make it more like Krypton.
But then why, if the atmosphere gives them powers, then why are they trying to transform it?
Because they're stupid and David Goyer doesn't understand how world building, a consistent plot works, and consistent motivations work.
Yeah, so we understand these guys are really strong because they have these suits, but Superman has been Superman for, well, not very long, but he's been absorbing all this power all this time. So he's been absorbing whatever nutrients he needs, whether it's air or sunlight or whatever. He's much stronger than these guys with their technology. So the technology can be broken. Their suits can be ruptured. We get that. But Superman should be like waltzing around them at least faster, being able to take hits more than their technology. So.
And then Zod seems to acclimatize himself real quickly without the suit.
In seconds, he's like, "I'm powerful now."
And then they have this stupid boss fight that kills hundreds of people. Superman's a paragon. He would not allow people to die on his watch. Or if he did, he would be broken inside.
You don't understand. It's darker, it means it's better. Obviously.
Yeah, more tragic. There's more deaths or something. More people dying.
It's not. There's a horrible tone problem with this movie. Right after he kills Zod, the friggin' satellite comes down out of the sky, and he makes a joke about, like, I grew up in Kansas. Please don't follow me. Follow me. I'm as American as you get. You can trust me. And then there's this joke where the girl says, sorry, officer, I think he's hot. It's like, we just saw him kill a dude deliberately by snapping his neck, and it seemed all dramatic, and now you're having this weird, abrupt tonal shift? Ugh.
Well, obviously she's like Padme. She's turned on by murdering. It's like Anakin says, I killed them all. They're animals and slaughtered them like animals. And Padme's like, oh, I want him.
He's exactly what I need.
There's kind of a time jump between the two scenes, but the tone shift is really jarring. Right?
It's like emotional whiplash.
Yes. Not the good movie Whiplash, where you get J.K. Simmons screaming at Miles Teller. Tell her to play drums better.
Here's Lenny the Shark. Thank you, sir. What if he landed in Mexico or Australia or Japan? Yeah, I know. He can go anywhere so quickly, but he decided to stay in Kansas. Mexico would have been interesting. Geez, I'm thinking Australia. That would be weird. Lots of wildlife. Lots of giant everything just trying to kill you. He'd be like, spider. Kangaroos.
Or just it tries to bite him and it just breaks its teeth.
Oi, what you doing over there?
Fucking wanker.
Or it's just like Superman wearing one of those, dressed up like Crocodile Dundee, and he's like, I'm Superman, yeah? and Crocky Batman, it seems like you're going a little bit extreme there.
I kind of want to see that now. I want to see like a Crocodile Dundee Superman.
You know what?
You can't tell me you don't want to see that.
Oh, I do too. That would be an amazing parody movie.
I think Henry Cavill has the chest. He can do it. All the hair, all the. Yeah.
Well, part of it, he has this really refined English accent, and like he's able to do the Geralt voice pretty well and the American accent pretty well. I'd be interested to see if he could do an Australian accent.
Well, he's
Probably
playing Sherlock Holmes in that Enola Holmes Netflix special. So.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, he's Sherlock Holmes.
Is that out?
Yeah.
Is that out? Is that out? I need to watch this.
I think it's coming out next month. Is it?
Oh, I'm watching that because I will support any film that anything that Henry Cavill is in. I will watch it because I love that man. He is a fan like us. He says, "No, they're just Are they toxic? No, they're just passionate."
They're just passionate. They're
I like
correct answer.
Dude, I like you. I don't care if you're in crap. I will watch whatever movie you're in. From now on, I will support you. I will ensure that you are not box office poison.
That's not a symbol of hope. That's a symbol of hope.
Yeah, hope. We are going to keep getting crapped on.
Hope is like the sun, and then Superman like melts them with their heat rays.
I honestly think he would probably kill Vice Admiral Holdo in a heartbeat. He would say, "Ma'am, you suck at your job."
Oh boy. Here's Fran Madaraki, thank you. Who's more callous, Kate Kane from CW Batwoman or Man of Steel Superman? That's, jeez, I don't know.
That's a difficult question. Kate Kane is just an incompetent idiot.
Yeah, she's really bad.
Superman just seems like he's maliciously trying to kill people. Like, but he's kind of worse because like his body count's way higher than Kate Kane's, like, by proxy body count by leaving her psycho sister to keep running around, even though she's proven over and over again that she can't be trusted.
She nearly kills, I don't know, does she kill people? I think she does.
Alice kills so many people. Well, most of like Kate Kane's body count is by proxy,
right? Because
of her incompetence, and like she keeps letting Alice go, or she won't do the most the efficient thing and just takes the slow route, or just will pout for a while people are dying. Superman just actively does actions that kill people, like destroying Metropolis and Smallville.
I seem to recall her. Was it episode 5? That's when I stopped watching. It was episode 5. She targets Magpie. That was her name. Magpie was climbing a building, and she hits her with a grappling hook, pulls her down. So she's on like the 9th floor of a building or whatever. Pulls her down from the building. So she's falling 9 stories to her death. And for some reason, she lands in this, 5 feet of water, some public or fountain or something.
No, she's gone straight in that water and then splatted underneath it.
And she's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, she would land splat on the pavement, instant pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So she does really violent things. Obviously, she's not as strong as Superman, so her kill count is not as high. But that was that's a kill. That's a death. Like, you killed someone, and by chance they weren't killed because of the story. It's like, okay.
Yeah, because the CW writers have huffed more coke than Ryan Johnson.
Oh God, their scenarios are so stupid. When I saw that thermal rigged room. The dumbest. It's like as soon as you open the door, the room would explode. It's like like the door opens, all this air sucks in, and it blows up. It's like no. There's lights on in the room. Those are lights. It's like, how much heat do you think a light gives off? I don't care if they're LEDs. They still give off heat. You have all these temperature sensors everywhere.
Yeah, and the special effects are terrible. They're so bad.
I have a personal hatred of them because, again, I'm obviously in my background. Don't need to repeat it, but
Yeah, you're a visual effects guy who actually cares about what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm like passionate about my work. Like, I mean, I'm not the best. I'm sure the people behind the show are a lot more experienced than I do, and they have a lot more manpower behind them. But I have appreciation for good work, and this is not good work.
Yeah,
It's like I think it's the same people who did Crisis, or the visual effects studio. They probably had the same visual effects studio as
Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh my fucking god, Crisis on Infinite Earth! I hate it. It is.
Yeah, that is.
The visual effects is like god awful.
Oh yeah, like the choreography is bad as well. Like they're not even hitting the stupid ghost thing.
You can't even use money as an excuse. You can't, because you should know that you don't have enough money for this, and then go for something smaller. It's like, why are you trying to punch above your budget?
Well,
it probably has more budget than Star Wars Theory's fan film, and they have good CGI.
Yeah. Well, at least like I guess they thought, oh, it worked for Benioff and Weiss. They went over budget frequently on Game of Thrones by hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No.
It'll work for us.
I'm pretty sure they weren't going over budget. They were trying to do something they didn't have the budget for. They didn't have the budget. They didn't have the planning or foresight. They didn't have the people they needed, or the people with the skills anyway, because they hired a cheap ass visual effects studio that didn't even care and would constantly just miss things. Like, Supergirl's thrusting her face forwards, looking at things like she's trying to fire laser beams, and she's not doing anything. She's just kind of giving them really mean looks. And it's like, wait, why is she doing that in the background? Like, Batwoman throws something, and she doesn't throw anything. The Green Arrow's fucking launching his bow, like arrows at people, and nothing's happening. Someone kicks the air and there's nothing there to kick because they haven't cared enough to actually put these ghosty cues in there. And then mixed with the music, especially in Batwoman, it's even more annoying. It's just dun 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 dun, dun, and it's the same thing repeat over and over again, and it's terrible.
Yeah. We should probably continue, shall we?
Yes, let's go.
Sorry, I'm just gonna down some fucking alcohol.
Trained my entire life to master my senses. Where did you train? On a farm?
I guess what most people overlook or just forget is that Superman was getting his ass kicked for most of this fight. And the second he was given the opportunity to end Zod's madness, saving the entire human race, he took that opportunity despite how much it hurt him to do it. Superman openly cries in agony after he was forced to end Zod's life. So those people,
and it's terrible acting, because it's a horrible script. I would honestly believe Vader's like someone just fucking dropped his pizza on the ground and he's really upset. It's like, oh, sorry, I dropped your pizza, Vader. It's now upside down. You can't eat it. It's past the 5-second rule. It's like, no. That's more believable.
Also, there is no narrative consequence for him killing Zod.
He got angry.
Feel anything. Yeah, he just got, like, it was just one-time pain. And, like, he's making jokes in the next scene. And it's just like, oh, ow, the tone problem is hurting. It's hurting my brain.
I just killed one of my family, not family members, but one of my people from my dead planet.
Species.
Yeah.
One of my own species. The last of my kind. The rest of them are in the Phantom Zone.
Oh, and that whole thing locked inside of his blood, whatever the codex was supposed to be. It's like, we just forgot about that. It's like, whatever.
Zack Snyder kind of forgot about the codex and the plot.
The whole point of the first 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
We're almost done. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Film is not visually stunning, who think the script is hot garbage, who think Superman is bland and not inspiring.
Because it
I
is.
say,
nope, you are nitpicking and biased. I win, bye-bye.
That's your argument? You quoted someone else.
That usually is the TLJ argument, yeah.
Oh, God.
Mr. Key Issues. Like, the next Robert Pattinson will be an amazing Batman. I don't think he's going to be Batman. It seems like the reception to him was lukewarm, and then the studio has thrown him off. They're trying to get somebody new. At least that's what I heard. I could be wrong. Is that correct?
I think, as far as I've kind of understood, the actual movies somewhat like the production's fucked a little bit. I think like things have messed up. He doesn't want to be there anymore, or something, or someone wants Robert Pattinson gone.
Maybe
I don't know. I don't know anything exact, but I've just heard things.
It just seems either way, like there's some really like dumb like things happening behind the scenes relating to this movie that are going to make it a bit of a train wreck, unless they like pull some miracle out of their butts to fix it.
Well, that wasn't exactly a very good explanation as to why this story was a good Superman movie.
Or even a good movie.
Yeah, like what he should have done first off is describe what a good Superman movie is and compare that to all the other known Superman movies and say, well, this is what makes that good. This is why this is bad. And then you say, these are good, but this one's great. And this is why, because I just told you all the things of those other movies. And in this movie, they're even better. That's really all you have to do. Because you just have compare A to A to A to A, and they're all A's, but this A is the best. That's all you got to do. It doesn't do that. Really easy job there, sir. You have to define your terms, give examples, and then explain that. That's all you have to. If I said like Mass Effect 2 is the best Mass Effect ever, I'd have to look at the first game, the third game, the mobile games. I say these are all the elements, and these are all the things that make Mass Effect. And in Mass Effect 2, it's the best because of X, Y, Z. That's it. Easy argument. Didn't do that.
Yeah, you didn't even compare it to like Richard Donner's Superman, which like I don't like that movie for a number of reasons. Most like it seems like the first act is solid, but as soon as Lex Luthor gets involved, it's just like, wow, this guy is an incompetent pantomime villain.
Is that the one with Gene Hackman?
Yeah. And then it's solved at the end with him going back in time by flying around the world.
I always love that. I love that. It's so funny.
It is funny, but it's supposed to be dramatic.
He gets so pissed off that Lois dies. He's like, nope, we're gonna change things.
Yeah. or it's like.
And the funny thing is, they did something very similar in Smallville, but instead of him spinning around the planet because he couldn't fly, there was a crystal that was in the Fortress of Solitude, and it's like you only get one. If you want to save Lana Lang, you only get one shot. And there was a price to be paid. So when he did that, guess who died? His dad. Jonathan Kent had to die for Clark Kent's love of Lana Lang. It was like, oh my God. Yeah, that was amazing. So
what? That's very dramatic. That's better than anything in this movie.
It is. Oh, it's extremely like it was. Oh, like there was the funeral for him. It was so sad, and it was brilliant. Like there's again, as stupid as that show is, as silly as the Freak of the Week is, and all the melodrama and all the first few seasons, which are all like for young adults and what have you. They do really good.
They won't.
Yeah, they do really good ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's one of the things that I can't stand. I actually have just gone desensitized to the will they won't they stories, like in fiction, because it's clear, unless it's like drama, where it's the will they won't they are not interesting, and like honestly, like stuff like Better Call Saul is better because they say, nope, we're not going to do the will they won't they. They're just a couple throughout the whole thing.
Right.
That's why I love Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is an awesome show.
It's an offshoot of a really other awesome show, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a really good prequel, and it's just like it is of equivalent quality to Breaking Bad, which is really amazing to me. Like, it's really good, and it avoids a lot of prequel problems, and like just like it actually develops Saul Goodman as a character. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I gotta watch that series. I've only seen one episode. I thought was excellent, but lots of great comedy, lots of good scenes.
Yeah,
I heard it was good too. Yeah, Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul.
I've heard
all
very
of
good
it's on
things.
Netflix. All of it's on Netflix. Up to season 4. They haven't put season 5 there yet. But season 5, now that season 5 is finished, it should be coming there.
I thought it was a
sometime next
Netflix
year.
show.
No, it's not a Netflix show. It's an AMC show.
Okay, guys, I think we've exhausted our take on this. Any closing thoughts? I was okay with his fandom. Like, he loves the movie. I just didn't like his explanation and the lack of acceptance between other Superman films and comparing the two. I didn't see any of that.
And there wasn't anything malicious about this video. Just, I love this movie,
Yeah.
and it's here's why I love it, and it's probably better than what you think it is. We didn't usually get the over the top arrogance and the "you're a bad person" that we get from the TLJ defenders.
He was joking
Yeah,
at the
it's
end
not
with
like-
the donkey clip.
Oh yeah, obviously
So,
that was obviously a joke.
Yeah.
But like, it just seems as though, like, it's definitely like it's kind of like John in a way makes stuff
Yeah.
where it's kind of just trying to be positive. His argumentation is kind of lacking. He definitely like has skewed things and is ignoring a lot of information in order to make this movie good, because the movie's really dumb.
I'm still waiting for that theme of hope, man. I gotta watch it again. It's like, where's the hope in this film? I gotta see it.
I'm telling you, we have to invade Hope Punk. We gotta invade that thing.
Yeah.
We gotta make it ours.
Make our own, make
Yeah.
our own post-apocalyptic scenario, and then just have this one guy who's like rainbows and butterflies, and just saves the day with smiles.
No,
I claim
Or-
Hope Punk in the name of the Toxic Brood.
or no, we just make it a saccharine Narnia story, fantasy story for the first half, and then we have a brutal Wed Wedding style massacre of all of the protagonists.
Oh, that'll go over well. Oh, jeez.
Oh yes, it would be hilarious. It would turn so many people off because it would be like, oh, we're expecting a saccharine adventure where it's nice and wholesome. Oh my gosh, why is there so much blood everywhere?
All right, guys. I think that's all. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any suggestions for future videos or articles for me to cover, go ahead to the Discord, check out the suggestions channel, copy and paste your link or your video there. That'd be great. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great day, guys.